Good morning. Thank you for tuning into the channel. Eric Bernaccio here, bringing you the tip of the day, which is our daily reading from the Daily Reflections Alcoholics Anonymous book. Today is May 20th, 2020, and the topic is one day at a time. Above all, take it one day at a time. Why do I kid myself that I must stay away from a drink for only one day, when I know perfectly well I must never drink again as long as I live? I am not kidding myself, because one day at a time is probably the only way I can reach a long-range objective of staying sober. If I determine that I shall never drink again as long as I live, I set myself up. How can I be sure? I won't drink when I have no idea what the future holds. On a one day at a time basis, I am confident I can stay away from a drink for a day. So I set out with confidence. At the end of the day, I have the reward of achievement. Achievement feels good, and that makes me want more. One day at a time was a concept that I had a hard time grasping and understanding and allowed to come to terms with, because I thought the same way that this person was that wrote this. How can I just project for the day when I know that I need to stay away from a substance for the rest of my life? And you got to simplify things. You got to keep things in the moment, keep things minute by minute, sometimes second by second, because you don't know what type of things you're going to encounter that are going to make you triggered into wanting to pick up a substance. And it's in our best interest to try to simplify things and keep it that simple. But when you are able to keep it a day at a time and not focus on the fact or dwell on the fact that you can never do something again for the rest of your life, then it makes it easier to be able to accomplish daily goals, easier to accomplish minute by minute or hour by hour goals. And then you'll build some momentum, you'll build some confidence, you'll build some strength to be able to move forward. But we need to remember where we get our strength from, and that is from God. That we can't do any of this without submitting ourselves before God of our understanding. And for me, that's Jesus Christ. So when we're at the point where we're just obsessing over the fact that we can't do something for the rest of our lives, we need to call upon God and ask Him to help us be removed of this feeling and this sensation that is uncontrollable, and that is this desire to self-sabotage. Because what happens then is we start thinking and manifesting different ways in which we are going to self-sabotage, and then a reservation could be there, a reservation could be formed. You could have like a deadline in your head when you're just going to hold off from using a substance, and then at that point you just kind of just throw in a towel and just make your decision to do whatever you want to do instead of what God has planned for your life. So one day at a time for me was a struggle to adapt to, but once I was able to accept this concept, it makes it easier, especially when you look at the big scheme of things. This goes for anything. It doesn't have to do with just addiction. It has to do with being overwhelmed, because, like, for right now, example, like, I'm a full-time student and I have 36 months to get a degree, and then it's like thinking like, oh, that's, I got 3 years. It's going to take a long time. How am I ever going to do this? No, that isn't what's going to help me succeed. Thinking about that, what's going to help me succeed is thinking, all right, one class at a time. One day at a time as far as work, breaking it down hour by hour, what I'm going to do for each class, each day, and then plug away. And that's what you have to do. You have to simplify things. You have to not focus on the overall big picture, although you should set an overall goal of accomplishment. Like, obviously, you don't want to pick up a substance again for the rest of your life. Obviously, I want to finish and get my degree, but you can't dwell on the overall end game when you have a lot of work to put in between. It takes a lot of work to remain substance free. It takes a lot of work to earn a degree, and you got to be able to just be obedient to the cause, be disciplined, and be able to persevere through any trial or situation that may arise, and not give up. Giving up is the ultimate sign of weakness. It shows that you weren't dependent on God, because if you were dependent on God, you'd know to call upon Him and He would get you through the situation, because God always provides a way out. God cannot be tempted, and he hates sin, so therefore there is nothing that God can't resist, and the devil will surely flee. Trust and believe. So, like I said, a day at a time doesn't have to be just applicable to addiction. It can be to anything in which you're trying to achieve, or anything in which you're trying to accomplish, and or just any commitments in general that you may have, especially if you have future commitments throughout the year, throughout the week. You just got to stay focused on the day that you're doing, and then if you have things that you can do in the meantime before those commitments to prepare for, then make sure you do the proper preparations, so that way that you're not that way you are ready when the time comes, so that way you don't have to put yourself in a situation where failure is going to become an option. Like, failure is not an option today, and when you have the proper knowledge and the proper tools, and you just keep things simple and you rely upon God, anything is achievable. Trust and believe that, and I can tell you that from my own experiences. I just really hope this message helps somebody today. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Like, share, comment, and everybody have a blessed day. Thank you.